Now, what we're also going to say is that all the programs have represent the largest modern U.S. experiment in unrestricted cash payments, with more than 12,000 Californians expected to receive more than $180 million in public and private funds. Nowhere else have so many guaranteed income pilot programs launched at the same place. Keep that in mind, folks, because a new advocacy group actually doesn't want to let Republican lawmakers who oppose student loan forgiveness off of the hook. This Thursday, a nonprofit called Protect the Borrower's Action released an ad that criticized 13 Republicans and who voted back-to-back student debt relief. At the end of June this month and next month as well for August, the Supreme Court has struck down Biden's plan to cancel up to $20,000 in student debt for the federal borrowers. It came after both the House and the Senate passed a bill to take back Biden's debt relief that the president ultimately vetoed. So while Biden has announced a new plan to get borrowers relief during a different law, it's called the Higher Education Act, many Republican lawmakers don't even want to actually be carried on this. Biden acknowledged that delivering relief through the Higher Education Act will take some time because it requires the policy to go through a negotiated rulemaking process, which includes hearings and public commitment. Still, payments are scheduled to resume in October, but still, with interest accruing again in September. And while the Education Department announced a 12-month ramp on payments after the repayment starts, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is worried. Folks, more and more checks are expected to arrive for the Americans throughout the summer and fall. Lawmakers are agreeing to provide the low income with extra financial relief, and relief may either be in the form of a one-time check or direct deposit. But now, 2 rebate checks are going to be for tax policies. These checks are typically sent out after individuals file their annual tax returns and determine to be eligible for a refund or credit. The specific eligibility criteria for tax rebates is depending on tax lawmakers and regulations in the country. A large number of states have announced they will be mailing and depositing relief checks for many residents. During the recently wrapped legislative sessions, the lawmakers agreed to send tax rebates to people in Minnesota, and now the rebates are $260 for individuals with AGIs very high, but $520 for couples who file jointly. People within those limits will get an additional $260 per dependent for up to 3 people they can claim. Rebates are expected to go out via direct deposit and checks starting this fall too. It's important to note that the lawmakers and taxpayers who have to apply for these payments are going to get good money. Georgia has a very large budget surplus, and the latest report was more than $6 billion. As I was saying, to receive the funds, filers must have paid and filed tax for the past 2 years, and according to a spokesperson, Georgia's Department of Revenue has already processed over 1.1 million total refunds. It totals about $257 million. If you haven't received your money yet, don't even worry. The Department of Revenue said the funds will go out over the next 8 weeks for those who filed by April 18th. Those who filed after the tax deadline will, of course, wait a little bit longer, as refunds will not be issued until one's tax returns have been processed. A Wall Street Journal analysis of Federal Reserve data reveals a concerning financial situation for people ages 30 to 39. The demographic accumulated nearly $4 trillion in debt during the fourth quarter of 2022. It reflects a substantial $140 billion rise from preceding the quarter. Now, according to Yahoo News, the mounting debt is indicative of broader economic challenges faced by the generations. The New York's Fed data reveals that millennials in their 30s are accumulating debt at a very high pace, which is starting to be alarming. New data have shown that 73% of U.S. millennials are actually in deep trouble, living paycheck to paycheck. More than 1/3 of Americans say their student loans have prevented them from buying a home, because we all know that this is not the right thing to do. I also want to make another point on this important stimulus information, that a significant portion of the 22 to 37-year-olds surveyed revealed a concerning trend of retirement savings. According to the survey, a considerable number of respondents said that their monthly contributions to retirement savings were low. Monthly checks may be sent out this year, and many lawmakers in the House have just learned about to propose a bill that will restore the improved and expanded monthly child tax credit payments. It would cost billions of dollars and would send Americans relief checks every month. It already has provided bipartisan support, and also a group of House representatives have just introduced the American Families Act, which will actually be a bill that would make the previously expanded and improved monthly child tax credit permanent. And during the crisis, the American Rescue Plan Act provided relief for American families through a series of payments and credits. One of those was a supercharged version of the child tax credit. And beginning in July of 2021, the IRS began distributing nearly $93 billion in advance child tax credit payments to families. Those are paper checks or direct deposits that appeared each month. And the payments were equal to 50% of the child tax credit estimated to be families and available to the families. Based on information reported on their federal income tax return, eligible families who did not receive the advance payments or didn't receive enough can claim the full credit on their 2021 tax return during the tax filing season. Mailing the payments in monthly installments wasn't the only change, and the credit was also bigger and fully refundable to qualifying taxpayers, and it means that you could receive the advanced child tax credit payment even if you did not owe any taxes. It has reached more than 61 million children, and studies suggest that it made a tremendous impact. A 2022 paper from the American Medical Association noted that children in the United States are more likely to live in poverty than any other age group. Before the crisis, over 10 million children in the United States lived in poverty. One of the highest child poverty rates among high-income countries. About half of all children living in poverty are living in what's called extreme poverty, defined as a household with an annual income of $13,000 or less. Now, the move was met with enthusiasm to expand a bill that would help them out. There does appear to be bipartisan support for making changes to the child tax credit, and various proposals have been floated by the GOP senators. But so far, House Republican leaders are hoping to pass a rule to set up floor votes on a bill to constrain the government's ability to regulate gas stoves. But the lawmakers saw their efforts fail after the House Freedom Caucus members joined Democrats in opposing the rule. The final vote of the rule was 206-220. A dozen Republicans opposed the rule. The 12th vote voted against the rule cast by House Majority Leader Stephen Scalise. So folks, I hope that President Biden can do more for the people in setting out stimulus payments.
Passport into the city, appreciate it very much. And I want to thank everyone in Rocky Mountain City Council, Nash County, Edgecombe County, and they're here today because we believe in you, all the students here. We're proud of you, and that's not hyperbole. Great things are ahead of you, and there are a lot of training you're going to be getting. But you know, Jill, my wife, has taught in community college now for some years, and she's has her doctorate as a professor there. And she has an expression. She says that, you know, community colleges are the best kept secret in America. And then she goes on to say, and she's right, that any country that out-educates us will out-compete us. Any country that out-educates us will out-compete us. And we're in an incredible competition worldwide, economically, politically, and militarily. And you know, this best kept secret is not being kept secret much anymore. Just in this community,